Welcome to Motivation with Marissa. I'm Marissa Mitchell. Sometimes motivation is found in joy, and for more than 30 years, the UniverSoul Circus has entertained families all over the country and internationally. And here now is the man behind the popular attraction and the man on top of the big top. Founder and CEO Cedric Walker joins me now. First off, thank you so much for all the joy that you have brought us for generations.
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about it.
You know, I call myself a UniverSoul baby.
I heard you.
Because I remember the early days when you all started out in Atlanta, and I would go there every year with my family. My uncle would take me and my sister to the circus each and every year. But I know that it took a lot to get to where you are now. So in order to get here, I want to go back to when you were a little boy.
Sure.
Born and raised in Baltimore, and you've always had that business mindset.
Well, it started when I wanted to be a Cub Scout, and I couldn't afford the dues. It was $5 a week, and my family couldn't afford it. So my grandfather had made me a shoe shine kit. So I shined shoes and earned probably about $5 a week, and I was able to join the Cub Scouts. So I guess I learned very early that you can create, you can get what you want and create yourself as a brand and a business. So it started then.
Wow, and from there you would do Christmas cards, you would sell fruits and vegetables.
My first bicycles, it was two of us, my brother and my father said, I can't afford two bicycles because you'll fight over it. So I won't get you any, and we won't get any. So I sold, my mother helped me, and we sold Christmas cards. I saw an ad but it's that passion that I saw the ad and I wanted it that bad. I wanted a bicycle, and I went out and worked for it. So we can get the things we want. And I learned very early again that you can, I don't think I've ever had a job. I've always just earned the money for what I wanted.
Yeah, and created your own opportunities.
Created our own products, yes.
And also as a kid, you went to the circus.
I did. And you know, the circus is an experience that, especially when your family takes you, that you don't ever forget. And my mother took us to the circus, and we enjoyed it. At growing older, you know, I was a tour production manager for the Commodores, and they had the Commodores on our first record, Machine Gun. We performed in one of the rings at Ringling Brothers. And I remember looking around at the stagehands, and I was a stage manager then. And I said, man, if I could get a job with the circus.
You did not. This is while you were a stage manager for the Commodores.
Right.
Wow.
It was just so impressive, the size of it and the level of production, yeah.
But you also noticed what was missing.
Well, from Harlem Renaissance to gospel and spirituality, to Motown, to Soul Train, to hip hop, our culture has changed the world. And, you know, the UniverSoul Circus is designed to celebrate those positive achievements and uplift those cultural contributions. Until UniverSoul, there was none that shared that with the world in a family attraction. So.
It's one thing to notice that need for even broader representation, which you did, but I want to get to how did you go, okay, I'm going to create this and fill the gaps. What made that happen?
So I was going through theater. We were doing gospel plays. We had a series. I worked on a series of gospel plays, Mama Don't, Wicked Ways, Good Man Is Hard to Find. And I was leaving a theater one night at 10:30 at night, and there was a whole row of family that was grandmother, father, daughter, son, and grandchildren. They had babies in a gospel play. And I asked the playwright, he said, I said, I've never seen families at a play. And he said, they're here because theater's the oldest form of entertainment. And what makes theater powerful is when you can see yourselves on stage. And we were focused, those plays were focused on a lot of the social challenges that our community faced. Wicked Ways was about kids getting caught up in the drug culture and the gang culture. Mama Don't was about mothers on crack raising kids. But they were funny, they were spiritual, they were impactful. And people wanted, in Pittsburgh, the police department came because it was play against drugs, but we had every drug dealer in the city at a gospel play.
Wow.
You know, because it really meant something to the community. And when I saw that, I left, he said, you know, from as old as Romeo and Juliet, when you can see yourself on stage. So it led me to focus on, you know, our culture. We have hip hop, spiritual, gospel, jazz, blues, theater, dance. We've got all these genres of entertainment, and there was nothing designed for the family. There was not one big show that grandmother, father, daughter, and son all could go together and sit on one bench and enjoy each other while enjoying the show. So that started the idea. Went to the library every day, like a job. Back then, couldn't go. And found out that and the idea was a variety show. How can we put hip hop and gospel and everything together so the whole family could come? And when I was reading, I learned that back in vaudevillian days, Black people trained animals. They trained horses and they trained dogs and used them on vaudeville. And that started the idea for the circus. Actually, you talked about Casual Cal. Myself and Casual Cal were sitting with the whole team, and I was explaining what I had learned in the library. And yeah, so it just took off from there.
Now, was that in the 80s or early 90s? It started in 93 or 4,
94 is our first debut in Atlanta. Yes. So that was probably 93. I started really working on it in 92.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you're telling your family and friends, hey, I want to start a circus, well, what kind of reaction did you get?
Mostly, I'm crazy. But I had gotten that. I'm used to being crazy and getting crazy ideas or having ideas that have never been before. And so most of the people I talked to thought it was crazy. My investors that I had been working with for years, I didn't want anything to do with it. You know, whenever you have a groundbreaking idea, you have to be prepared that no one sees the vision but you. And you have to be comfortable with the vision you see, you know, inside. You know, to create something new or to blaze a new trail, you've kind of got to dig it from within. It's not external.
You have to be okay with isolation. You have to be okay with being misunderstood because you have the vision, they don't.
And a lot of people, you know, what you don't want to say is, nobody listens to me. Because, you know, they don't, because God gave you that idea. So God made us so individual and so powerful, each one of us. It doesn't matter how much education, whatever, how worldly, how much you've traveled, but you're gifted. And you've got to dig into that sense of giftedness for any growth or opportunity or expansion. And you are supposed to grow and expand. You know, we get frustrated sometimes with life, and you know, we get in a pot and we get frustrated, but don't realize we've just outgrown the pot. You got to get to a bigger pot, and you know, continue to grow. That's the key. Just continue to grow. And when you feel that frustration, that means it's time to grow. You know, it's not time to feel like the world is against us.
You mentioned sometimes not, I guess in the beginning, having the backing or the support of investors. So how did you pay for all of this? How did you pull it off?
It was tough. You know, when you have an idea and you have to launch it again, you know, you're on your own, and you have to just be a big boy about it and really deal with it. The idea is more powerful. What's in your head, what God put in you, is more powerful than the external circumstances, and they will come when you make one step, providence makes 10, you know. And so, and I believe that. I actually, sitting in the office with trucks on that first one you went to that wouldn't unload because I couldn't pay for the 10 or whatever, but I just sat in the office that night and I used those words: if I make one step, providence will make 10. And providence made the steps and the trucks got unloaded. It's you know, I knew I didn't have I saved the money from the plays and I invested that and burned through that. The first one, we had a 1,600 seat tent. We probably sold 100 or 200 tickets. I gave away 1,400. And because people didn't come because I said it was a black circus or we had black people, or they weren't here and they wanted to know what is the substance of this production. So I had to show them. So I had to give away tickets the first year. I would come home from Christmas and cry because I didn't have money for Christmas. But after the tour, it was, you know, substantial losses. But the idea that when the first show, there was an elderly lady that came looking for the owner. Who's the owner? I want to meet the owner. And she said, son, I can die now because I've seen something I've never seen in my life and I never dreamt would happen. That gives you the inspiration. That makes you continue to go. When it was the idea that kept me going through those financial times, and you just can't think about them. Somebody said, the young lady that was on your show, she said that you've always got to look for the hope. Yes. And something. And you've got to stay focused on the hope. Don't focus on what you can't do. And that's the truth.
Yeah, that was Fawn Weaver. I asked her also about challenges, and she said, I don't focus on the challenges.
Nope.
I focus on the hope. I remember that episode very well. But you also got rave reviews. I read the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and other papers, and I remember the commercials. That had to be fulfilling, to know that it was resonating.
It was. I think the main thing for me came from the people. It came from the kids, watching them have a good time. It came from families. It came from watching grandmother, father, daughter, and son, watching each other. Sometimes the kids can sing every word of a Temptations Getting Ready song. You know, I mean, at our daycare shows, you know, and when you're bringing, what inspired me came from the inspiration of the people and how much they enjoyed it and how it actually brings generations together. Circus in itself has an intrinsic value that whether it's Ringling Brothers, Cirque du Soleil, but Ringling Brothers for sure, where the whole family can come and enjoy each other, enjoying something. And that, you know, people carry circus with them their whole life. And when you're making an impact on bringing the kids are doing hip hop, the parents are watching them, and so hip hop might not be so bad for that moment because they're next to their kids enjoying it. Mm-hmm. The adults are enjoying Soul Train.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember the Soul Train lines.
You know, and sure. The kids are looking at the adults thinking they might be cool.
Yeah.
You know, so it's those moments.
And so would you say that that's been the secret sauce to the UniverSoul Circus? And I ask that because there are other attractions that can't say they've been around 30, 40 years, even 10 for that matter. Beyond bringing families together, what do you think it is about UniverSoul that has made it so lasting?
Striving for excellence. I mean, I came up with the Commodores, and we were at Motown. And Motown made stars. Motown made the Temptations. Motown made the Jackson 5. Other acts during that era were on record labels, but Motown strove for excellence. And they governed that excellence. And UniverSoul Circus strives for that. And they gave people more than they expected. They gave people more than they fulfilled them. Any Motown song or show was so fulfilling. And we put more into the shows than, you know, our margins are very thin. We pack the show with entertainment, and we're there to send a cultural message where, you know, where urban culture meets global culture and how that shares. So there's a deeper relevancy to what's going on.
Through it all, and I always end these segments with a question, and I know we spend a lot of time on the circus, but you have a beautiful wife and people who have supported you throughout all of this. I want to know more about them and then also what has kept you motivated.
So my wife and I met in Tuskegee from high school. I had graduated and I went to Tuskegee from Baltimore, and she was still in high school and met her. And she helped me through college because I was on the road, or halfway through college because I was on the road with the Commodores, and she did a lot of my work. But we've been together, and she's been working in my foundation for over 47 years. So I've been very fortunate to have a wife. I'm inspired based on, or have the wife for this many years, and the treasure. And I have a son, Cedric Walker, that, you know, is part of a result of our union, and he's working with us. So it's really fulfilling in that respect. And I love, you know, after the length of time, my love for my wife it just seems to get brighter as we age. So guys, hang in there, because it will get bright. You know, we all have differences. Yeah. I'm inspired and have been from the origin of the UniverSoul Circus. I put a pyramid in 1994 in my office, and it included ice. I wanted to do an ice show. I wanted to do a Las Vegas style kind of dance show from around the world. I wanted to do a street with all of our Motown Soul Train. I mean, just everything. So it was so much that I want to do, and I'm inspired. Our culture is so rich, and you know, I'm inspired from the Harlem Renaissance to the future and everything in between, and just how it's changed the world. And I want to be a part of that change. So the circus is the tip of the iceberg. I'm inspired, but I need to, my pot, I'm feeling that it needs to enlarge, and we need to do better things to uplift and celebrate our cultural achievements and to share them with the world.
Cedric Walker, thank you so much. Thank you for this creation, and also for following through on the impetus that I believe came from a higher power. And you did it, and you've impacted, I think, more people than you'll ever know all over the world. So thank you, and thank you for sharing your sources of motivation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
All right.
UniverSoul
Circus.